Hello there and welcome in. I am Jen, aka the Awakened Jen, and I am just sitting down to look at the energy of the week. And I'm inviting you to just come sit with me as we look at this and see what's happening. So, I've been looking at this spread for a bit, and I am not going to lie, this one is pretty heavy, but it makes sense for where you are right now, where the energy is right now. Last week, we were talking about the Queen of Wands energy, and you were starting to see clearly what you wanted, what you deserved, and where you belonged. And this week, you're actually getting to act on it. And that's where the things really start getting real for us. So, let me share with you what's coming up for you this week because none of this is random. This is just, again, it's a continuation from what we were already talking about last week with that Queen of Wands energy. But now and then, our focus this week, we get to go into this Emperor energy. So, it's definitely, like it's becoming more stabilized. Before we get too far into what we're seeing here, I do want to talk about some astrology that is happening this week and some angel numbers that have been coming in for me as well. And so, all of this lines up exactly with what's happening again energetically. We've got a full moon in Libra on April 1st, and Libra rules relationships, balance, and truth and connections. So anything that's been off, anything that hasn't felt equal, all of that is starting to come to the surface now, in your relationships. And with it falling on April Fool's Day this year, we need to be very careful of paying attention to what's real and what's an illusion. The angel numbers that I have been seeing nonstop this week are 313 and 717. 313 is about breaking old patterns, rebuilding differently, and rebuilding differently. And 717 is about spiritual alignment. So you're being guided, but you have to trust what you're seeing. This week isn't here to hurt you, it is actually here to help wake you up and align you where you're meant to actually be. So let's go ahead and start looking into this energy. So this is the overall base energy that we're working with, and the overall energy of the week this week is the Three of Swords. So that's not a very good feeling for the overall energy, is the energy of heartbreak. But what I noticed, just first off in this card is notice how this sword of truth just pierces right through the heart. And it's like what I have realized about this is like there's a truth that is revealed. Probably it's already come out, if not, it's happening very quickly. And it's just one of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you know it, you can't unknow it. It's one of those moments that it's like it hurts, but it's so clarifying that it's like it just literally look, it just splits everything right into two, right down the middle. There's no going back. And so what initiates it is this emperor energy here. And so the emperor, it's time to take action. I can no longer let, my life be in chaos. My world is my responsibility. And it's like I'm taking the driver seat back of my own life. I'm making the decisions, even when they hurt, even if because they hurt. It's like I'm making the decisions. The emotional undercurrent that we're feeling is this Page of Wands. And so the Page of Wands, I connect it so much with the inner child. And so the inner child is is being like what I'm feeling is like the inner child here is being like suppressed. And that suppression is part of what's causing, the greatest of the heartache is just because the inner child has this, joy and creativity and love and desire and all of this that's like they want to experience, but that it's not being able to be expressed. And so that's causing, the biggest, of the pain, I think, in this is because of the pain of the child. And one of the feelings I was getting as I was, really sitting with it was it's like the inner child is throwing the tantrum because they're like, do I get to be seen? Do I get to be heard? When is it my turn? When is it my turn? So that's what I really feel is like, it's not immaturity. It's just, it's that special part of you that brings out, your most vibrant light. That's the part that's, just like, I need to be expressed. I need to be seen. The challenge is this Seven of Pentacles. And so, like, as you're in your Emperor energy, like trying to get control back over your world, over your kingdom, your empire, you're assessing whether where you built this at, where you planted your seeds, where you built your foundations on, was that actually healthy, stable, solid ground? Is this something I can actually work with anymore? Or, like, do I need to add something to it to make it more stable, to make it more healthy? So I'm like, you're looking at it in terms of like it's a plant. I'm going to plant, I want to grow this type of seed. What kind of environment does that type of seed need in order to be successful? Or I'm trying to build this type of home. What type of foundation does this home need in order for it to be stable? That's what, like, and, is that what we are working with? And if not, is this something that we can, create? The opportunity and the path forward is this strength card. And so the strength is courage, fortitude, resilience. The biggest is like the emperor knows what he needs to do. He's ready to take action. He's got a handle again. But like emotions are involved. And we've got to have like the courage to do the right thing even when it hurts. That's the piece that I think is like the biggest holdup here is the right thing still hurts. The right decision still causes pain. And I think maybe you might be looking for a decision or a way out of this that that is easier, or there's maybe there's a way that we come out unscathed, and I just don't think that there is, because this truth is just, it's too dividing. The truth is too dividing on this. There's like it's just two different worlds, and you've got to again be brave enough to stand in the truth even when it hurts, even when it's uncomfortable, even if it does cause unintended pain. It's still, if it's the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do. All right, so that's again the base energy. And so from here, we're going to start looking a little bit deeper into some clarifying questions. And so I've got the tarot and some other oracles here for us to go deeper with. I've already pre-shuffled everything. And so we're just going to look and clarify deeper on some of these cards, and just make sure that we're getting the fullness of this whole story. So we want to clarify the pain, this Three of Swords energy. What truth is being revealed that hurts you, but is also a necessary truth for you to have in order for you to make the decisions and move forward? We have the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords is, this is the moment clarity is undeniable. And that's what I like really had felt, with that energy, is it's like the truth comes in, there's no going back. So once the Knight of Swords shows up, he knows exactly what he wants, he knows exactly where he's going, he knows exactly what to do. And so, it's just so clear that there's no going back from it. And it's just like, oh, I wish you hadn't done that. I wish you hadn't done that. Because there's no going back from it. Once you see it, there's no going back from it. What have you been avoiding to see clearly? We have the Ace of Cups. And so this is about the truth of love, the truth of love in your situation. And so love is not just a word. Is love is patient, love is kind. Love does not what is it? It's that verse in the Bible that I always go back to when I want to talk about like what love is. You can look this up. You can look it up very easily. Let me go ahead and do it now while I'm thinking of it. The love is patient. Hold up. Let's see. Okay, so yes, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self seeking. It is not easily angered, it keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, it always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. And so, something I learned a long time ago is to take that verse, and which is First Corinthians 13, 4 through 8 in the Bible. And if you want to know whether or not you are showing up as loving or whether someone else is showing up as loving to you, you replace that person's name or your name with love. And so I'll just go through it again. Jen is patient. Jen is kind. Jen does not envy. Jen does not boast. Jen is not proud. Jen does not dishonor others. Jen is not self seeking. Jen is not easily angered. Jen keeps no record of wrongs. Jen does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Jen always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. And so, if you can say that and those words ring so true, then you know that that's a person showing up in the vibration of love, because that's what love is. Love can be defined, it's not random. And if you put someone's name in there and like you kind of like spike at just even the thought that they could be described as patient, kind, and all of those things, then that's telling you something too about the truth of love in that situation. Is love really being shown in that situation? And that's what you're not really ready to see, because we call attachment love, we call intensity love, we call like familiarity love. But love has an actual meaning and expression and vibration. And that's what you need to see clearly. And once you see it, that is not love. That is not love. Then it creates, your whole, like you can't unsee that. That is not love. That is not how love exists. So we're going to clarify even more now with the Emperor, the power and control. So where are you being called to take your power back right now? We've got the Six of Wands. And so the Six of Wands is one, not relying on what always worked in the past and thinking it's going to work now. But it's like, if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. We want something different, so we need to do something different. But the other thing I get here is like, this is one of those, it looks good on the surface, but you know that it's really not. So the house itself might be absolutely stunning, but you know that you skimped out in these certain areas, and that, one big gust of wind and it all goes down because, the foundation wasn't solid. The materials weren't solid. The actual like structure itself, it was visually pretty, but it wasn't solid. It looked good on paper, But now then it's like the reality of how it really plays out isn't what even you might have said it was or thought it was. Okay, and where have you been giving your authority away? We have the 6 of Pentacles. So the 6 of Pentacles is about an imbalance in energy and resources, in giving and taking. And so, it feels like that it makes sense that, a taker should get with a giver. But the problem with that is takers never know how to stop taking, and givers never know how to stop giving. But the giver's going to run out. The giver is going to get to a point that, they're completely depleted and they need fed back into them. And then you give too much, someone who just takes and takes and takes. I mean, they just become entitled, and they no longer value what they are being given because it's just expected at that point. And so that's definitely an area that needs to be tightened up is, you've got to make sure that one person isn't carrying the whole load because that's not a sustainable system. Okay, the Page of Wands inner child experience that I was feeling is what emotional reaction is being triggered. We have the Magician. So the Magician wants to make certain things happen. So like this is like the manifestation card. And the high vibration is you're using all of your tools and resources to make this happen. But in the lower vibration of this, it is it's more of a control. It's more manipulative. It's not quite as honest. And so I feel like that's the trigger to the inner child, though, is that you're feeling like you're being like that this energy is over you, like that you're being manipulated. I feel like that's what's triggering the inner child emotional reaction is because of this energy. It's because you can feel it when someone's trying to force you into, their reality that is not, one that you want to experience. So I think that's like you're feeling that energy. And what part of you is asking to be seen or soothed is the Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands this is where your passion lives. This is where your creative energy lives. This is where, your drive, and this is doing something just for the fun of doing it. Like you don't want to be controlled. And that's what I was, I guess, feeling from the Magician energy is like you're being manipulated, you're being forced. It's maybe not necessarily bad, but it's not what you want. And you're feeling like you're living somebody else's fantasy than your own true reality. Okay. The foundation check with the 7 of Pentacles. What was this situation built on? Oh, wow. The 5 of Cups. So this wasn't built on the best, because this is when someone is at their lowest. This is when someone's looking at their life and saying, well, none of that worked out. What's left? I've got this raggedy old heart here that I'm still like can offer. It is like, but it's just, that's not, it's not a great foundation to start with, is to just feel like, well, I mean, I've already lost all this. What else do I have to lose? Kind of thing. Was this ever truly aligned for you? Oh, the devil. Oh, wow. So, it felt good, but not to the right parts of you. So, this connected more to maybe shadow areas of you, and that's not necessarily bad, but it is an awareness that that's part of, what attracted you into this is some of the, just your, again, shadow patterns. And I would say it's more connected with like that if you are an overgiver, um if you're, over empathetic, and that's how you end up in relationships with narcissists. It's like you don't have good boundaries, and this is what that brought out. That's what all of it brought out, is like, oh wow, you still have, some stuff to kind of see. Like these are the areas that are still a little bit weak for you. And so like that's all it is awareness that that's really why this was brought together. And so why does it not work? Well, because look at what it was built on. The 5 of Cups and the Devil. That's not a great foundation. So that's why, like, now it's time to take control back. Now you've got all the awareness. You see this. You're not confused anymore. You see it. Now the only thing you have to do is be brave enough to act, to correct, to do what you need to do with the information that came out with that 3 of Swords energy. All right, so let's go ahead and go even deeper. So, let me see. I've got a few extra decks that we're going to look at, but I want to see what this one was. Okay. Oh, what do I do with this? Oh, I forgot I even did this one. I've got some pre-made questions to help me kind of stay focused here, but I did pull in, what do I need to do with this? So what is your best move forward right now? King of Wands. Be bold, be brave, be courageous. I mean, like that's really, and there's a Bible verse in that too. Wow, that energy is coming very strong today. So someone needs that. Someone needs to feel that, those exact words. Be bold, be courageous. Know who you are. Have, like that confidence in who you are. What energy do you need to embody to move through this well? We have the 2 of Wands. And so you've already been seeing it. You see what happens if you stay here. And there's more for you. And so like you need to be in that energy of just like, I'm ready to take action. I see it. I know it. I want it. It's like you're putting all of the pieces together now. What does this situation look like 1 week from now if nothing changes? We have the Tower. So, I mean, there's nothing stable here because we saw the foundation that we were building on. So this shouldn't be shocking, but it's always shocking when towers show up. So just know that like, if it's felt rocky, it's just going to get worse and worse until the whole structure is gone because there's no stability in it. If you don't like that outcome, which a lot of people don't, what can you do differently now? We have the Hangman. You don't get to control it. Control what you can and let go of what you can't. So there's going to be parts and pieces of this situation that you can manage, but there's going to be parts that you just have to accept are out of your control, and just it's going to land how it's supposed to land. And you don't take ownership for that because it's not in your control to do that. Okay. So I feel like if we want to feel, because I feel like that's the biggest thing that's holding up is like, the fear of how it feels for us after we make this move. So if we want to feel peace in this situation, what do we need to do to get there? The 4 of Swords. So this is you create an intentional pause. You create space for real healing to take place. This isn't, I burn it all down and it's all completely gone forever. This is, we need to slow this down. We need to, like, really let some things heal that, when we're looking at, that 5 of cups and that devil, those are the things, because we're looking at codependency when that devil energy is showing up. And with, the 5 of cups, there's grief in that, and there's depression, and there's a lot of mental things, and then there's a lot of, like, psychological things, that all of that really does need real healing before this could ever be something that is stable. And so that's what you need to create: intentional healing, an intentional pause, intentional space for healing. Okay. So now then, with the extra decks, I've got my timing deck to look at a couple of the timing questions here. So when does this energy peak or fully reveal itself? And we have, this is not happening anytime soon. I'm not sure that I feel that, though. I feel like it's been going on for quite a while. And then we also have July. And I can see some correlation with this. So I think that, like when I talked about that creating space, this may be the space that we're looking at. That 4 of Swords space, that July energy feels more like it. So maybe it does feel like it takes a bit longer to fully, get stable in one direction or the other, but that's what real healing takes. Um, when does clarity begin to settle in? By the end of this year. Well, by the end of this year, you will realize why everything worked the way that it worked. I feel like that the stresses that you are feeling right now, you're not going to be in that same energy. You'll understand it. And I feel like you will have evolved from it. We've got the yes and no oracle. Is this situation meant to continue as it is? We have no. This sticky situation will require gradual transformations and radical views. Perfection is always ever changing. Incidents that refract consciousness and perception gently guide you towards a grandiose future. And so, I mean, I just feel like, again, this kind of comes back in with the timing card. Is this isn't something quickly. So this, like, you don't have to fear that it's like, okay, you say the thing and then all of a sudden your whole world is just shifted. That's not the reality of this. So there is, like, it's gradual, it's little viewpoints, it's shifts, it's like you're being intentional, though, is more of what I feel from it. It's like we're not trying to rush it. We want to do it right. Is walking away setting a boundary in your highest alignment? No, the anchor of fortune successfully drops from the ship of change as it's rocked wildly by the stormy waves of love. Expect well deserved success and luck, stabilizing your life for the long term. The anchor of fortune gives you courage. The ship of change gives you strength. The waves of love give you soul. And so the question is walking away or setting a boundary. Again, I don't think you have to, like, you just completely end this, no contact, all of that, if we're looking at, from the relationship perspective. But I do think that it's like you're starting to create, like, the intentional space for healing. And that feels different to me than walking away. It's like you're still making a way. Like, there's still connection to a sense. So it's again, it's not the complete crumbling all at once. It's just the gradual. That's more of what I keep feeling. It's just like it's layered. It's very layered. Okay. Then, with wisdom of the oracle, we'll ask one final question here. What higher guidance do you need to understand about this situation? Fork in the road. So this is a moment. So it's really a timeline choice, though. That's what you're looking at. And so you're sitting, and I said this earlier, in a liminal space. And right now you see all the realities around you. And there's one that you know that you've been living. And if you continue down this path, this is what it's going to look like. And you've already determined this is not what I want. You already know that part. But the unknown is like you see the potential in all of these other paths, but there's not certainty in it. But until you choose those paths, one of those other paths, you're still anchored into the one that you know you don't want because you're afraid of actually choosing. Because once you choose, it's like that's when it's like all things shift. And that's the moment reality changes. Because and that's where you insert your power. I mean, and it's a big one. It's a big one, but it's like, it's that moment. And what are you going to do with it? I'm going to ask one more. What message does your higher self have for you right now? We have serendipity. They are trying to speak to you. They are trying to get through to you. They're sending you messages. You're not off path. You are being guided. You know more than what you give yourself credit for. Yeah, and I think that devil energy that showed up kind of scared you and made you think worse about yourself than what you actually are. But the truth is like you see it, you're aware of it, and you now can do something with it. You're not a victim to it. You're the emperor here. You're the one who gets to make the decisions about the direction your life gets to go. And it just takes standing in this strength, this courage. Okay. So, where in your life are you already feeling this shift happening? As I've been speaking, I'm sure like you've been feeling like what connection it's already, connected to. And what truth have you been trying not to look at, but you know? What part of you already knows the answer and you still act like you're seeking? Does this feel like taking your power back when you think about actually making that decision, that fork in the road decision? Or do you feel like you're trying to control a situation? And be really, really, really honest here. Is this working for you? Is it working for you right now? Will it work for you long term? If nobody else's feelings mattered, if you knew nobody would get hurt, what would you choose? Because that's your actual desire. That's what you actually want to do. That's your actual truth. But you're trying to manage everyone else's, and that's what's tripping you up. I know this week may not feel easy, but just because something hurts doesn't mean it's wrong. And I said that earlier in the reading. It's just like, the right thing is still right, even when it hurts. Sometimes it's the moment when you finally start seeing something clearly that you can finally choose yourself. I mean, this is the moment. So just take your time and sit with this energy and be honest with yourself. And we'll be back next week and we'll see what we did with it. So if this is hitting you really, really hard, and you're already feeling, where this shows up in your life, this reading is for you, there's another layer to this. Because what we just looked at is just the surface layer energy. But what I want to know is, where's this going to actually go for you What shifts if you choose yourself here? And what happens if you don't? So I did go ahead and pull a deeper reading on this where we do look at timing, outcome, and what all of this turns into next. And if you want to go deeper with me, I'll leave that link below. And it's a free download. It's not a download, but it's a free link. So feel free to just go as deep as you want to go. Thank you so much. And until next time, have a great week. Even I say that knowing that Three of Swords is there. All right. Anyways, bye.